Hello from the newsroom of the Blytheville Courier News. This is the third of 2016 CN debates. My name is Tom Henry and I'll be moderating this debate. This debate is for the position of Ward 1, Position 1 on the Blytheville City Council, and no one except for CN staff has seen the questions I will be asking during this debate. There will not be a live audience for this debate, and the order of opening statements, questions, rebuttal, and closing statements were determined immediately before the debate by a flip of a coin. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes for both opening and closing statements. For questions, each candidate gets 1 minute to answer, and then the first candidate is given 30 seconds for rebuttal. All candidates running for this race were invited. Now for the candidates. For the position of Ward 1, Position 1 of the Blytheville City Council, we have candidate number 1, Mr. John Mayberry, and candidate number 2, Councilman Tommy Abbott. Welcome. Now for opening statements. Mr. Mayberry has won the toss, the flip, and so you go first.
Hello, my name is John Mayberry, and I'm running for City Council in Ward 1. I'm running because I have a passion for Blytheville. I think Blytheville needs unity in our City Council. I think also safety is a number one concern of mine for the city of Blytheville. I feel that I'm qualified for this position. I've from the United States Air Force, I worked on $1 million budgets, so I know about budgeting. Also with my own personal business, self-employment, how to budget and how to make do and with less. And also my educational background. I graduated from ANC in 2007 and then recently graduated from Seymour this year, June of 2016, with an educational degree. So I feel that I'm qualified for this position. I'm a team player, and I look for the people's vote.
When I first became interested in the political arena, it's been about 8 years ago. My goal was to serve and to give back to this community that's been my home now for over 50 years, and that's still my heart. My stated goals have been to serve with trust, leadership, and accountability, and I believe that I've held faithful to those goals. My hope continues that I can be an instrument for reestablishing the public's trust in our city government. My qualifications are over 30 years in leadership positions in business, both as a manager and as an owner, which has given me an opportunity to deal with all areas, including budgets, personnel, property, and equipment management. I've also served in pretty much every leadership role in my local church, including associate and interim pastor, as well as in our local Lions Club and other leadership roles. I talk a lot about leadership because I see a severe vacuum in that area, obvious to me in all levels of politics. There are many serving in leadership roles that might really be out of place. I offer my service today because I believe that this is an area that I continue to boldly fill. There are some that would say and have said that I'm against everything, and that's simply not true. But I am against bad management principles and politics for the sake of politics and getting what you want. If I'm reelected, I'll continue to stand against what I consider to be bad decision making, and can assure you that I'll fight against higher taxes and fees that actually accomplish nothing, until I'm convinced that our leadership is doing their part to ensure that every dollar is being used effectively, and I'm not convinced of that. I'm asking today that you would allow me to continue to fulfill the role of City Councilman in Ward 1 and vote Tommy Abbott on November the 8th.
Now for the first question. On Friday, September 30th, after Blytheville merchants had experienced, by my count, 8 armed robberies within 17 days, the CN posted online an admittedly non-scientific poll of its readers asking the question, has your shopping habits within the city of Blytheville changed due to the recent armed robberies? 69.6% of respondents said they either don't shop in Blytheville anymore or they shop in Blytheville less. Only 19.6% said that nothing had changed for them. By my count, we've had over 17 homicides in the city of Blytheville since January 1st, 2014. Operation Blind Justice came in and conducted a major operation to combat what they termed a major hub of the Mexican ice trade. And that wasn't their first operation here either. Just Tuesday, multiple federal agencies once again had to come back and do another sweep, particularly focusing on methamphetamines and guns. All this while the Blytheville Police Department, according to Chief Thompson, is down from 58 officers in the early 2000s to 36, with 6 or 8 anticipated to leave soon, mostly because of low pay. The bottom line is, Blytheville has a massive crime problem and our police department is shrinking. What specifically are you going to do about it if elected in November? No slogan, no spin, no joke. Tell viewers right now what you are going to do to fix the problem. Mr. Mayberry.
First of all, crime is a serious problem here in Blytheville. And in order to deter crime, we need a crime force. And we need officers that can patrol the streets. With a lack of officers and a lack of people patrolling, crime is going to continue to escalate. Now, what the city council has to do, we have to get on board and work together to come up with a plan that can fund our police department and make Blytheville feel safer or be safer, whether it's finding certain areas that we can bring in more money, or even if it gets to the point that we don't want, is raising taxes. But we need a safer Blytheville. Too many times you go out in Blytheville and you don't feel safe, and that's not good for Blytheville. The statistics shows that when you go out and people are being robbed or anything like that, they don't want to be here, and we want people to come here. So I feel that we should fund our police department.
As a business owner, obviously, even if it isn't an unscientific poll, perception is everything. I absolutely agree that our police department needs to be funded. My problem has been, as a member of the city council, is that whenever we want to fund something, we want to put fees on or we want to put taxes on. There's not a lot of open discussion about alternatives. And what I would really love to see us do, as we're coming up on budget time now in November, to make sure that we've got our priorities straight. I think safety has got to be at least one of the very number one items of business for us, and I just think that we need to pretty much just destroy the budget that we have and begin to build it from the bottom up, setting our priorities and making sure that we fund the things that have to be funded and save the incidentals and the extras for later on down in the budget process.
Mr. Mayberry, 30 seconds for rebuttal.
And just to add to that point, I just still think that the number one thing is safety, and to fund that first, because Blytheville wants a safer Blytheville, and we need a adequate police force with people who want to be here and can make a living here. So I'm going to be behind the police department 100%.
Thunder Bayou Golf Links loses an average of approximately $1,000 each and every day of the year, but only a portion of Blytheville citizens actually take advantage of its beautiful top-notch facilities. Not only that, but the state audit came out recently saying that the city granted monthly golf memberships valued at approximately $10,000 in 2015 to various individuals for services performed, but that they were unable to substantiate that services were performed due to a lack of timesheets or other supporting documentation. Taking all that into consideration, if elected and with no ambiguity in your answer, will you fight to keep the golf course open, or will you fight to close the course? Councilman Abbott.
This is one of those issues that The number that you gave of losing $1,000 a day is I believe incorrect. If you look at the overall budget, and so I'm not, and I've told the guys from the golf course that I'm not necessarily fighting to keep it open just to keep it open, but because of the fact that one of the things I believe that's important to this city is it is an area that needs to be funded as much as any other of our park system. Thunder Bayou is a gem for us, and I think it's something that we really need to do whatever we can. Again, I'm going to go back to priorities and basically money management. And I think one of the things that we've done is we have restricted the amount of money that's going to go there. They've taken it down from over $1 million a year to down to $700,000 a year. And I think it's going to take some creative management of that money, but I think it's doable.
When Mayor Harrison came in with the tax to help fund the golf course, I was on board, and I wanted the golf course to be here. But over time, as you said, and I don't have the numbers, but reading the newspaper and things of that nature, that it's continuing to lose money. And we can't continue to lose this type of money and other things in park recreation go lacking. So my suggestion is that nobody wants to see the golf course closed. However, we might have to scale back some things on the golf course, maybe not 18 holes, maybe 9, or, and at least it's going to be something. And we have to look at the numbers, because if they're always losing, after a while, we won't have any money for it.
Mr. Abbott, rebuttal for 30 seconds.
Again, we've restricted our parks and recs to $700,000, which is the sales tax. This is one of the reasons why I fight against extra sales taxes, because they wind up not doing what they're intended to do when they're first brought into place. And again, I think that it's very doable, that we need to look at every entity within our park system, and I've suggested that to them. We look at every entity and scale it back. And I think when we got to the final numbers in last year's budget, we were down to about $60,000 loss. And so, I mean, that's not a huge amount of loss, and I think it's still coverable under that $700,000 with proper management.
With multiple busted sewer pipes and street cave-ins, as well as embarrassing building decay such as what we see at the Ritz, the Blytheville Police Department, the District Courtroom, and the roof at the library, what will you do about the City of Blytheville's infrastructure if elected in November? Mr. Mayberry.
Now, we have seen time and time again problems coming up with in our infrastructure, and the reason is because of neglect. Past administrations and past things have let things creep on. Now we have to address the problem. And with infrastructure, we don't want the same type of incident that happened in Michigan, and or the water being brown and all this type of thing. So we have to fix the problem. We have to go in and we have to make tight cuts or find ways to fix this problem, because, again, we want a cleaner, safer Blytheville. So if our water starts being polluted, if our people become sick, it's going to start making people, again, leave this place.
Well, my answer is going to be pretty simplistic. And you're probably going to hear this repeatedly tonight, but I think it's all about priorities. We can't keep doing the same things that we've always done and expect anything to change. And so we've got to change our priorities as far as infrastructure is concerned, and as far as well, every entity within the city. We must prioritize the cleanliness of the city and the safety of the city, but obviously also we've got to work on the infrastructure. And so I've seen over the 4 years that I've been on this council that money has been shifted from one department to another, and all legal, no doubt. But I just continue to believe that the money is there if we'll just prioritize and decide what's the important thing. Tearing down houses, taking care of infrastructure, all of those different things. We just got to prioritize.
There's really no rebuttal other than things have to be maintained in order to have a functional city. And I'm not on the council, so I don't have privilege to a lot of information. However, I will agree about prioritizing what needs to be fixed first and what will make us safer and what will make us a cleaner place.
Money is tight everywhere. The fact is, some government officials like to solve the problem by raising revenue or taxes, and others like to cut services or spending. The current administration has been working on raising sales tax in Blytheville once again in order to aid the general fund and to, if you believe the past campaign, build a garden variety of new facilities around town. The real elephant in the room is, if you are elected, are you joining to become a vote for the mayor's agenda or a vote against the mayor's agenda if you are elected? Councilman Abbott.
I don't really know how to answer that question. It's obvious that I have proven myself that I'm an independent thinker, and I obviously am not a yes man. There's a lot of times it'd be a lot more comfortable for me if I could get on board with some of the things. But I've seen, having been involved with the finance committee for the first 2 years of my tenure, I know in looking back that when we get a sales tax, the sales tax for the police and fire department, which happened around 2007, that money has been absorbed by the general fund. The Parks and Recs tax that happened somewhere along that same time has now been absorbed by the general fund. And so this is the reason you're going to see me voting against those taxes every time. And until they can prove to me that they're going to manage the money properly and they're going to let everybody have a voice in that, then I'll be voting no.
Again, nobody wants to see taxes raised, but there's a however. And the however is, if we want a cleaner, safer Blytheville, and there's no mismanagement of funds, there's times that revenues have to be sought out by raising taxes. So I'm a team player. If it's what the people want, if the people wants a cleaner, safer Blytheville, and money's has to come through raising taxes, and they vote yes, then I'm for yes. But however, if they say no, then I'm a vote no, as I'm my own man. But however, I'm a team player. Again, nobody wants to see taxes raised, but if we must, then we must.
There's not a more team player than I am anywhere in the world. Anyone that's been on a team with me, on a leadership team with me, will tell you that. But when the facts don't bear out the things that are being shared with the citizens, I'm going to call them out every single time, and I'm going to vote against it, and I'm going to speak out against it. And that's pretty much the position that's put me in the last year, at least, and it's not a comfortable position for me, but at the same time, leadership rises and you deal with it.
On Friday, September 23rd, the CN posted another online poll where we ask the question, do you believe the corruption is a significant problem in our local city, county government? Regrettably, 87.9% said definitely or maybe, while only 12.1% either doubted or denied it. Based upon the events of the last couple of years, particularly bearing in mind allegations of missing waterworks money, waterworks contracts for office machinery allegedly for personal gain, city attorney benefits paid to his non-city employee secretary instead of to himself, multiple Arkansas State Police investigations, multiple questionable city audit findings, lawsuits, etc. Does our city government have a significant corruption issue? If so, how many departments does it run through? And lastly, what are you going to do about it if elected this November? And this goes to Mr. Mayberry.
Now, I can only speak for past regimes that when we had this, I don't know the quite number, 2.8 million, 3 million, whatever it is, we found out that there was total corruption, and the taxpayer had to pay for that to bail us out. After that, then screws started being tightened. People become more accountable where funding was going, and the more we work it, the more we're accountable. We can find out where every dollar is being spent, whether it's gas or gas mileage or cards or people buying vehicles. So now there's a check and balance situation going on because of the past regime that makes us more accountable. So corruption is something that I think we're getting a good handle on right now.
On several of those occasions when those individuals were accused, or at least there were allegations of missing money, I brought to the city council basically that we wanted to make a statement that we didn't appreciate these folks getting off with nothing but a slap on the hand. And yet we saw that happen on several occasions over the past 4 years since I've been on the council. And I guess for me, the important thing is that leadership has to take a role in that. The city council, as much as I'd like to be involved in all those day-to-day operations, we're not in a position to make those employees do the right thing. And so, I think it has to start at the top, and there has to be an absolute refusal to allow those things to go on. And as far as how many different departments, I really don't know that.
There's really no rebuttal, but I think the current administration is doing a great job. Even the council, they're budgeting the money, they're looking, they're trying to make sure nothing's being wasteful or spent wrong. But as far as just total corruption or someone stealing or commingling funds, I think now we have plans or procedures implemented that that everyone can look at, and everybody's being transparent now.
Last question. How high of a priority to you is code enforcement, such as removing abandoned houses, street cleaning, and mowing of non-maintained properties by absentee property owners? What specifically will you do if elected in November to fix this problem? Councilman Abbott.
Well, unfortunately, from the city council position, it's difficult because of our structure. It's difficult for one person to get much of anything done, and if you're not on that particular, even on that particular committee, it's difficult to even have a voice in that. What I'd like to see happen, I can't say that it's going to happen, but again, it's about priorities. We have to decide that getting these old abandoned houses out of here has got to be a priority, and you have to come up with creative ways to cause that to happen. And our problem with code enforcement has always been the actual enforcement part of that. I think that we've got a lot of reports that are coming in with a lot of information, but as far as any actual plans, and that's one of the problems that we have in this city, is we don't really have any plans for taking care of these things, and I'd love to see us begin to do that, and hopefully we can in the soon future.
These houses being owned by property owners that are not here, and then the city is left with the burden, and by us having the burden, again, as Councilman Abbott said, prioritizing. A lot of times, money's just not there, and we have to find other monies from other sources to help us in this area, and it's a problem because it's an eyesore, and again, a cleaner, safer Blytheville, and where we want people to locate here. We have to clean this up, but it's still going to take monies and resources, and taxes is not the way in that. It just have to find resources, and as Councilman Abbott said, we have to have something, a plan, and I'm not privileged to that type of information, so but I'll be willing to look into it.
Again, I think that I do want to bear down on that because we need to have plan, and honestly, the first couple of years I thought we were going to move in that direction. Now we just kind of hope it happens. We've had churches that have stepped up and offered to tear down some of these houses. We've had industrial entities that have offered to do it, and they question whether the money was spent properly. And so we have to move forward with integrity, and we have to use every resource that we possibly can, and not tax to get it.
Now for the closing statements, and Mr. Mayberry, you won the coin flip, so you go first. 2 minutes.
Again, I'm John Mayberry. I'm running for city council. I think our city needs a person like me that will come in and help be a team player and mend things together and not politic, to solve a lot of problems that's in Blytheville, whether it's our infrastructure, of course, our police department, and making a cleaner, safer Blytheville. Also, to help be active to bring in jobs and a place that people will come and want to live here in Blytheville. That's all part of city government. We want people to come here and live here and make this a place where it's home. And it's been a home for me for a while. I pastored a church here for 16 years, and I just think it's time for a change. Councilman Abbott has done what he has to do, and now it's time for new ideas and new faces.
I do want to express my appreciation for the opportunity to serve Ward 1 for the last 4 years. It's certainly been an educational 4 years for me. If you're looking for a candidate that's not afraid to take a stand for what I believe is the right direction for this city, then I believe, and I think history will bear this out, that I am the candidate for Ward 1. We don't need any more yes men on this leadership team. We need independent thinkers who will lead with common sense and will listen to reason. That's the kind of team that will take us past all of our problems. There's been many positive things that have come from my time on the city council, both for me and for the city, but I still believe that the best is yet to come for our city, and I'd be proud to have the privilege to continue to serve and to help move us forward in a positive direction. I hope you'll cast your vote for me November the 8th for Tommy Abbott, and I look forward to continuing to serve this great city.
Once again, we at the CN would like to thank you for watching. We'd like to thank the candidates for participating in our 2016 CN debates, particularly noticing how difficult it is to cover that many topics in that short amount of time. I really thank you. Don't forget to tune in and watch the other 2016 CN debates. Excuse me. You'll find them on our Facebook page and soon on our website, BlythevilleCourier.com. Other debates that are scheduled, we have the Ward 2 Position 1 Blytheville City Council debate immediately after this one is concluded. And lastly, the State Senate District 22 debate around 6:30 p.m. on Monday, October 24th. Once again, thank you and have a great day.